You're listening to Lyfe and Shyt. I'm Danielle Walker.
And I'm Tommy Walker.
Join us as we talk about our journey overcoming fears, boundaries, marriage, family, lifestyle, business, and whatever other shit you can think of.
We're individuals that came together to create one unit with one mind and one goal.
Hey.
What's up, girl?
What's going on, baby?
Sound like you got a buzz going already. That's what's going on.
Just from my hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, hey. It was slow.
I do, but
You put down the first bottle was a bottle of prophecy.
Well, I got a question for you.
Okay.
Is child support for the mother or for the child? Ooh, this is going to be a good one. Oh. I'm going to need more wine. What's Gabrielle Union's book? I'm going to need more wine.
You about to stab me in between my ribs on that one. Is child support for the mother or the child? Child support is supposed to be for the child. And that's in my Marion voice. Supposed to be. Supposed to be for the child. And we're going to dig into it today of why I say it's supposed to be, right? Okay.
Or is it in my eyes, I think it would be more for both.
It'd
right?
be for both?
Yeah, because in order for me to be able to let my child live in a certain way, I have to be able to live a certain way. So,
you know, it's funny because in doing this, we watched an episode of a TV show. It's not really a TV show. It was a YouTube video about child support court, right? Mm-hmm. And it was a reverse of what you typically see. It was the dude taking mom. So the father was taking mom to court so that he could get more child support. Mm-hmm. And his reason was so the kids could go to a tutor. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's it? You want more child support? Take kids to you could teach. But then he said, well, she traveled. She got a Louis bag. She got this. She got that. Mm-hmm. I want my kids to live the life that they mother do. Mm-hmm. And she kept throwing off like, you just a little teacher.
Yeah, well, which he was a teacher. Yeah. But she's like, you a broke teacher.
Yeah,
like,
a broke little teacher.
Yeah, a broke little teacher. Yeah, like,
which is fucked up.
Yeah, it is. But it is, but then if it was flipped on the other side. But before we get into all that, so we about to go there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I'm like, what?
And see, and I said my response in regards to it goes both ways, as a woman who has never received I won't say never received child support, but I did not receive anything that I can consistently depend on. You know, mm-hmm. I was never able to pay my rent on child support that was received. So that's different.
Totally understand. We got a guest in the house. It is my friend, my brother. Daré is in the building with us. I want to introduce the world to my man Daré, who is going to talk with us, and is literally just table talk. Like, we're just going to sit here and have a conversation. Yep. His experience in child support. Daré is living in Colorado right now, so this is our first video call-in interview on a podcast. So thank you for being our first one and going through all the experiment for this opportunity. Appreciate you, brother.
Yes. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
No, and just a little background. So Daré and I known each other for over 20 years. We was in the military together back when we was just young kids. I think I was 17, 18 at the time. I think you were like 19, 20 at the time.
Yeah, 19.
Yeah, so now both of us are 40. so that's how we were in the Navy, San Diego. Both of us are from New York. He's from Queens as well. A native, like truly from Nigeria, and I hope you get into that a little bit. So it's super dope. And currently living in Colorado Springs, in the information technology world. And so super dope. I'm super proud of everything that you've accomplished, and everything that you got going on. Got a beautiful son and daughter, and just definitely made a way as a single parent. You know what I mean, mm-hmm. from a male perspective.
Yes.
And overcame a lot of obstacles, in your journey. So super respectful of everything that you jumped over from the kid from Queens to the man that you are today. So thanks for being on Lyfe and Shyt with us.
Yes, definitely. I appreciate you. Definitely appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You introduced me better than I would myself.
Yeah. And I have known you now for at least over 7 to 8 years, and you have been nothing but a brother to me. I have embraced you as my husband has, and I appreciate everything that you are to everyone that you have been and what you have been to us. You've been very consistent, and I do appreciate you for that. So I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions. I'm gonna get into a little nitty gritty. One thing I know that we have a lot of ladies that like to watch the show, so I always like to ask, just like to ask, first, are you single? Or are you taken? So that's first.
Be honest.
So the world wants to know.
The whole world wants to know. Okay, so right now I am not single.
Okay, you are taken. Ooh.
Yeah, I am. Yes.
Okay.
I am single.
So there's a lucky lady in your life. That's nice. Okay. And then family. Tommy said you have 2 children, right? So tell us about your kids. How old are they? How old are the babies?
So my oldest, man, not a baby no more. She's 21. She'll be 22. She'll be 22 in May.
Oh,
and Tommy's met her.
Man.
Yeah, and my youngest is 7. He's in the 1st grade, and he's a handful. You guys have met him.
22 is 7. 22 is 7. Yo, that's a...
Yeah, I was done after the first one.
Yeah. I think I've heard you say that a few times. You was done.
I know.
And then tell me how you got into the IT world.
Oh, so that happened in the Navy. Me and Tommy were kind of doing the same job, we're stenographer's mate, but I don't know, I just always liked the IT world, technology. So I requested to go to the technology side of the house, and it got approved, and just went from there.
Okay.
So as I got there, I just took off, started learning everything I could, got certifications. Once I got out, I kept pursuing my certifications, kept learning. Technology, things changes every 6 months. 6 to 9 months, got new, stuff is obsolete, right? Yeah. So it's it's challenging, but I love it.
Yeah, it sounds challenging, but also fun because you don't get bored, right? Because you can't.
Yeah, you gotta
literally, it's like a new job every time. And then tell me, what do you like to do for fun over in Colorado Springs?
In the springs, currently, I don't know. I don't really get out much. It's winter time right now, so all the winter sports, I'm not really into it. Skiing, I went skiing one time. It was horrible.
Yeah, when you from Queens, skiing is not a part of like what you don't talk about skiing. Like we didn't have winter sports in New York. Like,
that's so crazy to me because it's New York. It snows. It's cold as hell. You guys should be ice skating, skiing, sledding.
Our winter sports was football. Like we played football, right? And then after the Super Bowl, that was it.
Oh man, everybody stay at home. It was too damn cold.
That was it. Yeah. So the winter sports, I'm not into. Summertime.
My last question is what are your dreams? What do you dream of being or becoming or doing?
Wow, that's a good question. Honestly, like I don't know. I like to invest in businesses and kind of like just spread around and just kind of little dabble here, dabble there. So I guess that'd be my dream, just to have investments, just not, stop working for a little bit.
That's what I'm saying. And I think I think that's real because you'll hit me like now, real talk. You was the first person to hit me to the crypto world, right?
True.
So, like, as we as we speak today,
2017, I think. Yeah,
like Bitcoin is trading over $30,000 today, right? And I say over $30,000 because it fluctuates so much. We seen it hit $60,000, $40,000. Right now, it's over $30,000. Right. And when Daré first hit me to it, it was at $2,800. $2,800 was the first time he called me. He was like, "Yo, you got to get on this Bitcoin thing."
I remember that.
And we hopped in. and it's been rocking and rolling. And even till this day, he come across something, he'd be like, "Yo, son, take a look at this." Like he's like, "Yo," and the first thing he always say is, "I'm not a financial advisor." Real talk.
I have to put the servers now. Like seriously,
I'd be like, "I know you're not a financial advisor,but he's like, but
it's like the disclaimer.
Yeah. He's like,
you should invest,
but I just have to give it.
Yeah.
But
that's a real friend right there. He'd be like, "Yo, I won on this, but I'm letting you know
if anything
happens,
not on me.
It ain't on me."
It's at your own risk. That's right. I like things like that. Researching, up and coming, tech, especially new technology. It's always fun.
That's real talk. And one thing that I do want to ask about, then you ask you about, the personal questions. You was in Israel for a little bit. So, how was that? Like, how was it living in Tel Aviv?
That was quite an experience. That kind of came about through my current job. When I first got in, got training, we had to go to Israel for Tel Aviv for 10 weeks for training. So, it was like, at first you're like, oh, okay, that's cool, whatever, right? New things, I don't like it. But then you're like actually there. So like my first 2 weeks, it was cool, but then it hit me when I had to do laundry. I had to do laundry and do laundry and buy groceries. I'm like, wow, I'm living here now. That's what it really hit me. But the experience was, it was amazing. The culture was amazing. Actually, Tel Aviv was like being in New York City.
Word.
Traffic, buildings, people just zooming, just going by their business. Just the whole vibe is like, oh, this is New York City.
That's what's up.
Then,
that's super cool.
Then you go to but then you go to like Jerusalem, all the historic sites and things like that. And that's when you're like,
the old country. That's when it's like, oh.
Yeah, okay. The old country. Yeah, that's where you're like, oh, yeah, okay, I'm in a whole different,
Damn, that's what's up. That is
it was amazing, though.
All right, let's get to
super cool. Yeah.
So how much do you pay?
Well, the question. So generally we ask the question in the beginning, and then we ask our guests as well. So is child support, do you believe, which is our topic today, ladies and gentlemen, it's child support, right? Like, do you believe it's for the mother or do you believe it's for the child? Who benefits more from child support?
Who benefits more? Well, so my old belief was, child support, obviously, right, it's supposed to be for the child, right? But now, so let's just put it like this: child support, according to the Supreme Court, doesn't benefit neither the child or the mother, right? This is what the Supreme Court says. It's not for neither. But, obviously, when you say child support, right, it sounds so like, child support, support your child, right?
Yeah.
Right? We're not talking about, you should support your child. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about child support as in a system, as a process, right? Yeah, Supreme Court says it's not to benefit the child or the mother, it's to benefit the public treasury, right? That's what it's, the indications, blessings versus freestyle. You can look that up.
Wow. So you said it's for the public treasury?
Yeah, public treasury meaning like, the corporate, the state,
yeah. Wow. Damn. So I think that's going to be pretty interesting because when you did the research on this, like how did child support, the system of it? Because that's right. Like Daré said, the system of it is what's different, right? Like when you hear the name child support, he's like, oh, it's to support children. And like we was doing research on this, like
it sounds so innocent.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Yeah, well, yeah. And then looking it up, I was like, okay, so it was in 1975. It was Gerald Ford who established the system, right? So automatically I was thinking, okay, child support wasn't established until 1975, but that's not true. Child support was established a long time ago, right? Yeah. Years years ago. Like it was like
Decades.
1913s. Like
Decades.
it was tons of time ago. But there was no system, so it was just like suing somebody, right? Which is kind of still what it is, but now there's the system about it, right? So if like back in the days, if you owed me money, then I sue you for it, and then we go through the system like that. But in 1975, Gerald Ford, who was a person who had lived with his mother, who had seen his father being very successful, and he was living poor with his mom the whole entire time, where his dad was living like on the hill, basically, right? And they needed the help, but the dad didn't give it to him. His father didn't have to.
His father paid instead.
Yeah, his grandfather paid. His grandfather
paid child support.
So that's crazy. And so Gerald Ford, who by the way was named after his father initially, and changed his name to his stepfather's name because he felt and respected what his stepfather did for him more so, which I see a lot more now in the United States, and just amongst my friends, amongst my kids' friends. Stepfathers are stepping in, and these kids are respecting them. So I don't know. That's getting off the subject of child support, but it's child support to me. When we talk about child support, is not just money, but it's also time spent with the child, right? Which I think the court looks at it the same way as well.
Yeah. So you said that the system, you talked about the system now, and you saying that it wasn't truly meant for either one of them. So now in today's society, right? Like child support, we was listening to some music, right? Like we was listening to Ray Charles has a song called Child Support, and it sounds like every song about child support sounds despicable. Like it's so sad. It's so.
Tommy went down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, I went down a major rabbit hole.
I was like, are we really still listening to this?
Like if you YouTube child support songs, man, like you're gonna be depressed.
Oh, man.
So Ray Charles got a song, like Ice Cube. I didn't know Ice Cube had a song about child support, and he goes in, and then you got lyrics about child support. You know what I mean?
And there was the
the system is, it's interfered with a lot of, people. Like, how many guys, how many men do you hear, deleting themselves because of, some child support related issues?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you hear cases like that. You hear about men that's not even their kids, and they're on child support.
Yeah.
Right?
So
getting tossed in jail, losing licenses, all over what, right? Because nobody really understands what the system is.
So talk about that real quick, because you said a man is on child support for a kid that's not even his. How is that even possible?
Oh yeah, it happens.
How is that possible? Because we hear about it.
Oh, so that you hear about it, right? So let's go back to So how does one get on child support? Right? How does it even happen? Let's go through the process, right? Well, for me, in my experience, it happens one of two ways. You go to the hospital, child is born, mother and father's there. Okay, this is like out of wedlock, right? We're not talking about marriage, because if you're married, you already signed the contract.
You're not married, out of wedlock.
When you marry, you signed that contract earlier.
Yeah. When you marry, you sign contracts. It's different kind of contracts.
Definitely.
Right, so out of wedlock, right? Relationship, it's out of wedlock. You have some woman has a baby, father's there. Like I said in the beginning, everybody's joyous, everybody's happy, and then this hospital administrative person comes in with all this paperwork, like, here you go, is this the dad? Oh, here you go, dad. When did you just sign on this? Right? It may be like a birth certificate thing, or it might be like a acknowledgement of paternity. Most of the time it's paternity, and just sign it. Right?
Not thinking about nothing.
You don't ask questions. Like, hold on a second. Like, what's the consequences of me signing this? Like, you don't ask that.
Yo, hold on. You said, what is the consequences of me signing the birth certificate?
Never thought of consequences.
I never thought about that. Like, all right, so like we got like all of our kids, out of all of our kids, when they was born, I've never thought about like The birth certificate, I was there. I know that was my kid, and it was like, all right, this is what it is.
Right.
But you like legitimately, if you think about all the things that you ever sign, right? The first thing you ask, why am I signing that for?
What am I signing?
Yeah, what am I signing? And you know, no real talk.
Not that.
When it comes to birth certificate, you think it's just a birth. All I'm doing is signing off that. Like, and I'm gonna tell you, me being naive. Only thing I thought was I was signing that this kid was born, and I am the father of that kid. That was it. I thought that was it, but it's more to it.
Oh yeah, brother.
Shoot, I'll keep it. Yeah, I'll keep it very real with me. Where I grew up, they said you should not allow the father to sign the birth certificate, because then you can get help from the county, because then you could say that you don't know who the father was. Oh. So even if you knew who the father was, you should say that you don't know.
So that
you would be able to get assistance from
the county. And you was taught that, like people told. That's what I was told. That, yeah.
Yes, and me being a young girl, I mean, I had my first child at 19. I didn't understand like what the birth certificate was about, that it was some contract. You know, I didn't understand any of that. I knew that I was 19 years old and that I would need some kind of help and assistance. You know, I knew I would need that. So I was listening to these OG women, right, that had like 4 or 5 kids and were being supported and taken care of, and they had their own houses, and it's
by
like
the system. Back to what Daré was saying, the whole public, like, right, the public treasury.
Yep. Okay. So it's making sense, definitely, because and then on the flip side of that is if the kid or the father of my children was to have a good job, he'd be paying the state back first before he was paying me back. So I wouldn't be getting any real money. And just had this conversation last night as well. You know, food stamps, you'll say, oh, well, food stamps are just food stamps or whatever. But the state, like in the flip side, it's $360 is what I was getting a month. $360 is what he had to pay back. But they say like, oh, it's just food stamps. That's not real money, but he had to pay back it in real money. Yeah, and from the store I got it in real money. You know, it's like, this is real money.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Dan, because you know that's really what it is. Like, so when you the welfare program, right? It's under like Title. It's called like Title 4A, right? That's the welfare, you know, that good stuff, TANF, right? And then the child support program is under Title 4D. Right, that's the state agency program.
Okay.
So, in my opinion, they're trying to use Title 4D to kind of recoup the money that they're using to pay out for all the welfare stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Like we're giving out all this welfare, food stamps, all this, like, but we gotta get that money back.
How do we replace that?
Like, we know these kids are going to be born out of wedlock, right? So we got to get this money back. So that's why you got the Title 4D program, which is the child support from the state agency. Because there's two, like you got this. You could be the state agency could come after you for child support, or the court could come after you for child support. But the process is still the same.
Yeah.
So what does the birth certificate actually mean?
It's a contract, bro. The birth certificate is really a contract, right? You either signing the birth certificate or the voluntary paternity acknowledgement, right? You know, I think sometimes that's what they sign, and then they use that to put your name on the birth certificate. But it's really a contract, right? Like, if you ask them, like they're not going to give you full disclosure. Like, hey, what am I really signing? What are the consequences of me signing this thing? Right? Like, oh, so you're responsible for the financial responsibilities. If you don't meet those financial responsibilities, we'll send you to jail. We'll take your license, business license, whatever. You know what I mean? Taxes.
That's the system.
That's the system that was set up. Yeah.
You don't see any of that on that form, though.
Yeah.
True.
That's real talk.
Like, it's like the most you might see is financial responsibility part, but they don't give you all of that, throwing you in jail. I mean, but the Constitution with the Supreme Law of the land says you can't throw somebody in jail for a debt.
You cannot throw somebody in jail for a debt?
You cannot. Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Rights to it. Well, yeah, I mean, it's in the Constitution. So every state has a constitution, and there's in the Constitution of the United States of America, right? Mm-hmm. Like Constitution of the United States of America is the supreme law of the land, right? And each state adopts their own version based on, the United States of America Constitution.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, like so there's it's in there. Like I got my little book. I recommend everybody should get a copy of the Constitution.
Yo, real talk. And that's real talk because we talked about living in different countries, and because we did a podcast on being an expat and understanding the laws of the land that you live in, and like we are citizens of this country. And we don't know the laws, and that's why, especially as Black people, we get caught up so much is because of not understanding the laws of the land.
It's not even as Black people, but as Americans, to be quite honest, because we have friends who have become citizens, and they're like, "Oh, you don't know this, you don't know that," and we're like, "Oh, like
we got friends that have." Within the last 18 months, we've had a couple of friends that become citizens of this country, and they know more shit than we do. I've been in my entire life.
Yeah.
You know what's funny too? Since I'm a foreign born, but I'm American national now. It seems, but you're right. Speaking to that, it seems people who come from different, they know what they tend to read more about the laws of the land that they're living in versus people who were native born.
Just like you just said, foreign born,
like
American national.
I want to know all, I want to know all the laws, like what applies to me, what doesn't apply to me, because people don't, especially your rights, your basic rights, because the Constitution is derived from natural law, from God's law, That's where it derives from.
You said the natural law.
Which is natural law, which is God's law. You harm somebody, you got to pay for that. That's right. You take somebody's property, you got to pay for that. That's just natural. Right? You injure somebody, you got to pay. That's just natural law.
So with that being said, and going back to the child support, do you feel that if you have a child with a woman and you and that woman are together, you guys have your life is one way, and this is the reason why child support is right, because if you and that woman break up, the child should still be able to live the same way, right? So this is the reason for child support, so that your child still has the same benefits whether they're with you or they're with her. Whether you have to pay for it or the woman has to pay for it, which we know, which I have friends I have two friends that had to pay child support, right? Because they were in the situation where they made more money and their child had to go with the father, and it was unfair for the child to have to live in, mediocre means because they were with the father.
Because he was a little teacher?
Yeah. He was a little of whatever he was, But the women have been going through, you say it's fucked up, but women have been going through that forever, right?
What I'm saying was fucked up
that's how she was doing
calling him a little teacher. It's nothing little about being a teacher.
As she said with her Gucci bag, it was like her Louis bag. Yeah.
It's a big fucking job. So
it is a big job, but that was just,
So who paid child support, right? I don't know. So when I did the research on it, Daré, like you said, it's a contract, and it's funny how it's a contract for men, right? It's a contract.
Mostly, I mean, there are women on it, absolutely.
Yeah.
But,
well, that's the whole mama's baby, daddy's maybe, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I seen the baby come from me. It literally came from me.
Exactly.
But you think
may or may not.
You saw it come inside of me. You know what I mean? But
So that's where it gets tricky, right? And that's why you see so many cases where it's usually the man, right? Mm-hmm. And of course, as time goes on, we're seeing it being mixed, but from a majority perspective, it's mostly men.
And
when you talk about men's rights, And it's one thing as men, we never understand our rights when it comes to different things, especially, and I'm talking for men that actually tried to do the right thing. For the guys that don't do the right thing, like Gerald Ford's father, fuck that guy. Right. Like his dad had to pay child support. So, and that fool name was Leslie King. So Leslie King Jr. did not pay child support. And Gerald Ford, if you ever look up, you know, presidential history, if for all of those that talk about dead presidents and how much money they make, find out about that shit before you start talking real shit. So Gerald Ford's name wasn't Gerald Ford. No. Like you said. He took his stepfather's name because he didn't respect his father. Right. So those guys, by all means, like we're not talking about those guys that don't do shit. Like by all means, if you don't pay your child support, or if you don't support your children, or if you don't support the woman who gave birth to your children, like 1,000%, we don't care. But like, we're not caring about your situation or your circumstances. And there's generations of issues and things like that. But for the guys that try to do the right thing, for the guys that don't know what the birth certificate is about, for the guys that legitimately are like, yo, if this is my kid, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to raise my kid and give them everything. That's what we're talking about, and making sure that you understand the system and your rights. Yes. And I didn't understand the rights until when I went through child support and the whole ordeal. I was always under the assumption that if I'm working and I want to support my children and take care of them and be around them and whatever the case is, the judge would say, okay, at least you stepping up as a father, I'm going to give you at least leeway. Like, I'm going to hear you out, and I'm going to give you 50% of whatever it is that you're trying to make it even, right? That's bullshit. No, there is no 50%. As a woman, as a mother, you have 100% control over when I can see the kid, if I can see the kid, no matter what. Because I didn't put in paper that I want to have time sharing rights. So first, when I signed the birth certificate, like Daré said, I signed legal rights. But now I got to prove physical paternity timeshare rights. So as a father, you don't get taught this shit, right? You got to fight for that.
Legal rights and physical rights totally different.
You don't get visitation rights off the cuff. No. Like, if you're dealing with that's a whole separate issue. That's what they tell you, right? Like, you got to petition for that, you know, for your own seed. That's crazy to me. That's one of the things that bothered me and got me looking into this whole thing. Like, how can somebody come and tell you when you can see your seed, right?
That's it.
Which is really your property when you think of it. You think about it.
Yeah, legal and physical is totally different.
In a biblical sense, like your seed, that's a property. But this entity called the government, or whatever agency, coming in and tell you, oh yeah, we're gonna need you to pay this much, and if you want to see them, you're gonna have to pay up that. You know, like that's what got me to the whole look into this whole thing. And it's a contract. You sign a contract, you have to abide by the contract. So that when they send you to jail for not paying, you know, you sign the contract.
Yo, that's
when they take your license away, you sign the contract. When they take your tax returns, you sign that contract.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep, that's the legal part.
Yep. Yeah, you waived your rights. You waived your rights.
This is a hard subject, ladies. I will say,
I just want to.
I mean, I'm gonna be straight up and honest. Like I've seen it from both sides. I've seen it from like a couple of different sides, to be quite honest. I've seen it from my baby's side. I've been with him going to court, someone fighting him for his money, all the way on the way. Me feeling like, okay, was it for his money? Was it fair? I've been on another side where I've had a friend who didn't get anything from a man who had everything and was trying to keep it from her. And that wasn't fair, you know, where she can barely pay her rent, but yet, you know, he's got it all. I mean, then I've been on my side, you know, my side, I did receive child support, but it was very, very forced. It was never consistent. Like I said in the beginning, I've never been able to consistently pay a mortgage or a rent or a car note or even put my child through school from child support. Once I decided to have my child, I knew that it was my choice and that I was going to take care of that child. Otherwise, I know that there was options that I could have taken to not have had to have that responsibility, right? But because I made the choice, no one told me no. Like, if someone was like, "I want you to have my baby girl," like, you know, that's different. Like, if you talked me into having this child, then we had a mutual like, "Oh no, my brother, you gonna be right there with me through this whole thing," you know. But no one that didn't happen. You know, I'm gonna be very honest. You know, I was pregnant. I decided I was gonna have my child. I decided that, and the moment I decided to keep my kid, I decided I was going to do whatever I could to make sure that child made it. And at least until they were 18, I was going to bust my ass. And I did, you know, I didn't need anyone else. I wasn't going to be like, oh, if it's not for him, then I can't make it. No. That wasn't an option. You know, if there's a quote, it says, if I never knew what being strong was, I found it out when I became a single mom because I had no other choice but to be strong.
1,000%. Right. And you know, it's respect. Like I have a respect for you that, you know, is more than I've seen for most women because of that situation. Because you were in a situation where I was going through child support, custody battles, going to court every single year. And on the other hand, you didn't do that. Like, you could have legitimately said, I'm going to go do the same exact thing that, you know, my kid's mother was doing. And because it wasn't like it was a mutual agreement between us, there was a lot of issues. And, at the time, financially, you know, like every other dude is, when dudes look at child support, the first thing they think of is, oh shit, my life's over. Right. And it's unfortunate because, you know, you can make a car payment before you make your child support payment. You know what I mean? Like dudes will, and I'm talking about from my own experience. Like, I'm not saying every dude is like this, but I know a couple of cats that are like that. And you will make a child support payment before you make your child support payment. I mean, a car payment before you make your child support payment. And I felt like I was in a position where you were treating me like that, where, like, I don't even have a car. So no, I would not make a car payment before I support my kids. And I'm in a position to take care of my kids. So let me do that, right? You, on the other hand, was like, yo, I don't give a shit about what this dude's doing. Right. Because I'm doing it all by myself. So if I get child support, then great. And if I don't get child support, fucking great. Like, no matter what, it was great. Right. And I respected that. Like, seeing that, I was like, damn, like, I'm paying child support. And not only is that, because it affected our household as well, like, right? Because a portion of my paycheck is going to another house. And then we have our two girls, and you're supporting them. And then I'm like, all right, well, you know, I got another house to support. I got to support our house. So this is our life. And you were like, all right, cool. Like, that's our life. Yeah. And 1,000% you ran with it. Even when I came home, I remember, yo, Daré, no lie. After the military, because the military was good life. Like, we didn't have any. We were so young. We didn't have any obligations. Yeah. After the military, I was coming home with $50 paychecks. Like, my paycheck, I was getting paid weekly, and so every week, every Friday, $50 for a few months.
Because it was garnishing your paycheck.
Because it was garnishing, and my child support was based off of the hours I worked.
Do you know the percentage of that child support was taken?
Nah, I don't. Like legitimately, I don't know the math. It was just like, yo, the judge was like, yo, this is what we're gonna take.
I asked that question because it's actually a limit percentage to what they could take. So I hear stories of some dudes that they taking like 60%. I'm like, bro, they're not supposed to take. You know, and that's part of go back to know the rights. Like, you know, there's a max of what they could take. Because really, they're not but a debt collecting agency.
Yeah, that's real talk. And it's funny that you say that.
And they got to abide by the debt collecting rules too. So there's a max to what they can really take.
And I just learned that. Like I just learned that because in like going through all the research, it was like, all right, each state has their max, each state has their percentages.
Yeah, each state got their own rules, around it. But there's a federal, because they're operating because it's a federal program, right? The whole thing is a federal program, and these states are kind of like these states remember like agencies, because here in Colorado, in my county, they delegated to some law firm who's doing business as the county child support service.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like I looked up. It's a law firm, but they're doing business as in my county is El Paso. They're doing El Paso County Child Support Service. That's why they're doing business. I'm like, how, you know what I mean? Like most people don't look at things like that. You like, like, oh, you see child support, so you freak out, right? And usually, like they I don't know in California, but here they serve you. Right? Sheriff comes to your door, hands you the papers. Most people gonna freak out when they see that.
Yo, legit.
Start calling lawyers. Wrong move, right?
No, so and when I got served, it was in the mail, and the first thing I didn't think about going to a lawyer. I was like, all right, I'll just handle this myself. We'll come to an agreement, and whatever that agreement is, we'll make it happen. Because I think about like from a generational standpoint, like my dad had to pay child support, so my experience is only from like and like most things in our generation, in our culture, most things we know is all what we seen from our parents. So when my dad paid child support, and his stories was the judge told him, he told the judge, hey judge, how am I supposed to survive off of the income that I have left? You're taking this. How am I supposed to survive? And the judge told him, go find a second job. The judge said, this job, and he worked for the city of New York. The city of New York. He said, the judge said, yo, this job is for your kids. You need to go find another job to support you. So now in my head, I'm like, that's the child support way. but it's not like that, right? And unless you understand it. Now, I really want you to discuss how, because you had a situation that was pretty huge, and you did major research. Like you could have called a lawyer, but you decided not to. You said, I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna learn about how this shit works
and do it yourself.
Because of the circumstance that you was in. That was huge, man. Like, if you want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'll touch on it. I won't go too deep into it, But I mean, yeah. But one of my reasons of not calling it a lawyer, when I actually did the research, because I had a situation. This is like my, I've been in a couple of child support issues, back, one like 10 years ago. And back then, I was calling around for lawyers. Like, I freaked out. Right? You get the letter in the mail, you open it up, and it got, boom, right?
I understand that.
You are to appear, and all this, right? Words on it. So you freak out. You start calling lawyers, And so, but this time around, I started to do a little research, and what I found out was, and actually, calling a lawyer is not really in your best interest. Right? Because there's an actual, you could, whoever's listening, y'all could do research later. But if you look up the Corpus Juris Secundum, which is Volume 7, Article 4, it said Corpus Juris is like body of law, right? So Corpus Juris Secundum is like encyclopedia of law, right? In there it says it has an attorney and client relationship, and it clearly states. Let me see, I got it right here. The first duty, right, is to the courts and the public, not to the client.
Oh, shit.
And wherever the duties to his client conflict with those he owes as an officer of the court in the administration of justice, the former must yield to the latter. So remember, right, attorneys, the officers of the court.
Damn.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're always going to come second to, I guess, to what benefits the court.
Especially when it comes to a public thing, like you said, when it's a public thing. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. So something that benefits the public treasury, you're not going to act on your behalf, at least not all the way. Right? So that's why I'm like, I can't get a lawyer.
Yeah.
That's
you know?
That is. And then, and you did the research and won. Like, and you won the case.
Yeah, and you know what it was. You know, the sent the paperwork. Like I said before, Colorado, you know, they serve paperwork here, right? They don't, you know, which is part of the services process. So you know, when I got the paperwork, I just kind of looked at it, and on it, you know, it has these words, you know, that most people just kind of like glance over and don't really pay attention to. It has words like negotiation hearing. And you're like, wait a minute, what's a negotiation? It's not. Negotiation doesn't depict something mandatory, right?
Yep.
I mean, yeah, right? You know, and also, like, you know, everybody should get Black's Law Dictionary in their house, right? I have the 5th edition.
You said like, Black's Law Dictionary?
Yeah, I was going to say Black's Law?
Yeah, Black's Law Dictionary. The everyday word that we use, when you look it up in the Law Dictionary, it means something completely different. So, you know, everybody should get a, you know, a law. You should have Black's Law, you get a Bouvier, but I have a Black's Law.
Okay.
You know.
We got to pick that up.
Yeah, definitely.
Look up the word negotiation. It doesn't depict anything that's mandatory. So, but on it, negotiation hearing for an agreement, like agreement, that's two people coming to a table and agreeing on something. None of this seems like it's mandatory. But they're in there, you know, they want your financial information, like the pay stubs, and they want tax returns, they want your business records. Yep. They even want to know about your other kids. I'm like,
yep.
Like, hold on. Like, why am I giving you, like, why am I giving you this information? You know, then you look up more laws, and you're like, hold on. You giving them that information, actually, you volunteering.
Damn, right? Son. You volunteering information.
You're volunteering information for them to use against you. Why would I do that?
Okay.
Right? They want, I don't know about California, but here, they want everything. They want to see everything.
Yeah, it's the same way.
It's
California the same way.
They want 401k, they want your retirement information, they want to see everything. But I'm like, but then you look at the laws, like, yeah, but then going back to your rights, well, you got the right against self-incrimination, don't you?
Yep.
Right? So if you give them that information, you're eliminating yourself.
Yo.
Right? And here, they slip in a little paternity form, right? Just in case you haven't established that. So they'll put a paternity in there, like, go ahead and sign this little paternity form. You know, again, like, I'm putting my disclaimer, supporting children. Right? I'm not against supporting your child. I'm talking about the child support system.
Yeah. and knowing your rights within it. Yeah.
Yeah. And knowing your rights within it, right? Support your children, people. Absolutely. But you know,
yeah,
knowing your rights.
Thank you for that, because we're not trying to show or teach people a way to ditch out of their child support, but because if it's your kid, and like, take care of your kids, man. Take care of your kids, and
my thing, you know, that was a private act, you know, child, the whole conceit, you know, and it should be a private matter. You know what I mean? Like, to me, as much as it could be, right? It should be a private. You know, I understand there are some, you know, extraneous circumstances that you might have to, you know, go outside, you know, for private. You know, but you know, as far as like, hey, taking care of the kids and making sure they got what they need, that should be, to me, in my opinion, should be private.
Yeah,
I don't need some entity coming in telling me, oh yeah, you gotta pay this much a month. Like, take care of my kids, man.
Yeah. It's private and personal, right? It's private and personal, because like, to me, at the end of the day, and the reason why I take care of my kids, and like, I didn't care about either way, like my kid's dad or my baby mama at the end of the day, is because I could sit and I could look my kid in the eyes and be like, hey, you know what we did, you know how much fun we had, you know. When you get to be an adult, you can calculate how much money we spent. I ain't gonna tell you now, but you'll know when you get older. You'll be like, oh shit, they took us there. Dang, how much money did y'all spend? Or how much time did you guys spend? You guys had that, you know. So the time that we spent, the money that we spent, they'll know. So I would never talk bad about the person, the other either my baby mama or my baby daddy. Like neither one of them I would never talk bad about to either of our kids. And you can attest to that. I won't be like, oh, they're this or that. I could, don't get me wrong, but I won't, because I don't want them to ever look at me as the person who put any type of a preconceived notion or judgment in their heads about what this person was, no matter no matter if it was financially or if it was time spent. All I care about is what they look at me and how they feel about me and my time that I spent with them. So I think that was important.
Yeah, one thing I want to make sure is we understand is it's not a competition, right?
True.
You know, it's not a competition, and it's not a financial come up. You know what I mean? And unfortunately,
the financial come up is the flip side of this conversation.
Yeah, exactly. and that's, you know, the premises that everyone gets from it, right? It's as soon as you hear the term child support, you have to get ready for war. Like no matter what it is, it's like, oh shit. It's like let me get ready for war. And the reason why you get ready for war is because you don't want someone else to leverage whatever you paying, even if you paying $100 a month. You like, yo, that $100 a month could go into cryptocurrency, and then all of a sudden you become a millionaire off of my 100. And
real talk.
And I'm not doing it. So at the end of the day, you know, child support system is what it is. It's a system, and if you look at any other system, there is flaws to it. This is not a financial come up. This is not a leverage standpoint. You know, we just want to make sure that people have the understanding and the education to know, like, yo, if you come through anything in this world, research that shit first, man. Yeah. Anything that you have to sign, if there's a document, research that shit first. Don't just take it from because my daddy's went through this, and this is just part of our generation.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Like and we were a part of that. Like that was our stories. That will not be, you know, the stories going forward after this. Take the opportunity to understand how this shit works out, because when you look at it, you can win. And Daré, when I said from a win perspective, is because if there are people that will try and take advantage of you. You know what I mean? And like any system, like you look at any system, goddamn insurance, workers' comp, you know, like any system that's out there, people take advantage of it. So just don't get taken advantage of, and don't be naive like how I was. Like I was naive. And whenever there's an opportunity for me to say, yo, I was naive. Like I would never say I knew everything, because I was paying goddamn to bring home $50 paychecks. That tells you I didn't know nothing.
Majority of it.
That was just what it was.
And
so,
you know, a trip too is that we think this is not an American thing, right? So we could bring up the American laws and whatnot, but in my research, I learned that Europe, they pay child support. Russia, child support. China, child support is a deal. So this is to my ladies. There's a lot of deadbeats out there everywhere, ladies. You know what I mean? And I appreciate the two men that I'm talking to right now that are not deadbeats. You guys are an exception to the rules, to the law. You guys actually stood up where other men like sat down and decided that they did not want to take care of their children. But because of the deadbeats is why we have these child support laws. This is why we have to go through these things. If it was possible for every man to stand up and to actually take care of their children and to pay for their kid, you know, like just at least to make sure that their kid was comfortable, right? Or to even just have that conversation, because I think sometimes when it gets to money is when it's an awkward conversation. The conversation it's awkward, and it gets uncomfortable for both sides, right? There never seems to be that good price, that dollar amount that everyone is like. You'll slide
it's never good enough.
You'll slide back and forth over.
Yeah, never. Yeah.
So, but like I said, I must say, like, thank you for men like you guys that actually stand up, and for women who actually take care of their children and don't depend on a man. But when a man does actually stand up and pays and does what they're supposed to do, that is an absolute weight off of a woman's shoulder. So
1,000%. My final thought on that is only the kids lose, right? Only the kids lose in situations. So if you're going through something, at the end of the day, it's the kid. Like if we could keep the kids first, right? Like if you, the reason why you go to child support because obviously there was a disagreement somewhere, but if we could have an adult conversation and make sure that the kids are okay, then at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. So the kids will lose first at everything. So make sure the kids are taken care of, and you as parents, y'all figure that shit out on the back end.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's what it's all about.
Daré, did you have anything you want to say?
Yeah, no, you're right. I'll conclude to say, again, child support, support your children. That's it, right? I'm not talking, I don't even talk to people who don't know. I call them fit fathers, right? I want to talk to fit fathers. If you're not a fit father, you know what I mean? But seriously though, right? You gotta be there for your kids. But I understand that, the system sometimes tries to take advantage, of certain things, But, other than that, so just take care of your kids. Try to keep it private as possible. Once it gets to the public, nobody wins, except for the courts, except for the courts in the state.
Yo, that's a gold gem right there. Keep that shit private, man. Because once it go public, that's it. Yeah, keep that shit private.
Yeah. I would just say it's always mama's babies and daddy's maybes. So mamas, if you decide to have those babies, just make sure you can take care of them. Never depend on, and this is just me saying woman to woman, never depend on anyone to take care of something that you created, whether it be a business, a baby, or whatever you bring into this world. Whatever it is, you stand on that and you support that shit. And that's just me. Never depend on a man to support or to stand by you if you don't have to. Be able to do that shit and stand on your own. So that's my final thought.
1,000%. Right. This is life and shit.
Life and shit. I love you, baby.
Do us a favor. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe. Leave a review. Let us know what your thoughts are. That's the only way that this show is going to be successful. And we appreciate you. Talk with you next time.